Aloha everyone, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Lava Lava. We are Fiapoko Samoan veterans who talk about topics surrounding Samoan culture and life. I'm your host, Michael Tan, and here with me today are Milford, Tiafala, and a very good friend of mine, Opetaia Sitafine. If you want to hear content like this, be sure to follow and listen on Spotify or wherever else you get your podcasts. We are also available on YouTube and Facebook. I hope you enjoy this episode. Before we get straight into it, we have a special guest today. His name is Joe Tuiaana. He's also the founder of the I Love You Bro project, and I want to give him this chance to briefly introduce himself, his background, where he's from.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Awesome to be here on the Behind the Lava Lava podcast. I've seen you guys around, and I've anytime I can, see, or anytime I see our Polynesian community growing in such a capacity where we're sharing and communicating, really affecting the overall culture of America, I should say, or just community. It really makes me proud. So I thank you guys for having me. My name is Joe Tuiaana. I am not a veteran, but I should say I'm blessed to be a part of or be around veterans pretty often. Now my dad's from American Samoa. My mom's family's from Italy. So I have quite a diverse culture in our family growing up. The I Love You Bro project is a nonprofit that I have that specifically addresses the mental health care needs for dads specifically. I'm a single dad, a full-time single dad of 3 daughters. I got one that just graduated, one that's still in high school, and then one that's in junior high school. We live over here in Lehi, Utah, and God is good, brother. Life is awesome.
Thank you, Joe. Now, you have an amazing story about how the I Love You project started. Could you tell us this story that occurred here in Utah?
Sure, you bet. Earlier this year, January 29th, my kids and I had just gotten over COVID. Mind you, I don't know if you guys have read COVID. It was, pretty strong, going through a lot of Polynesian houses. Ours, for sure, for me, I got having pneumonia right after COVID. And we were just getting able to leave the house, you got to stay home, stay away from everybody. So this is like the first day we could leave the house. And my daughter, who had missed a basketball game, my youngest daughter, this is her first game back, basketball. So she's like, oh, I'm so excited. So we're all still kind of feeling sick. I had pneumonia. We're running late for the basketball game. And it was, I think, the keys. Yeah, my oldest couldn't find the keys. They were all sitting away in the car. And it was just one of those mornings where you're just getting kind of aggravated. She finally finds the keys. We're driving from my house here in Lehi to the junior high school. It's like, maybe 7 minutes away. And to get there, you have to cross an overpass that just goes over the freeway, Interstate 15. And we've done it 100 times, probably more. But this particular day, we were driving over the overpass, and it's single lane each way. So one going this way, one going that way. And I saw this young guy, and he had parked on the overpass. So already kind of sketchy, because if you park on the overpass, you basically block the whole overpass. And so we saw him park as we were passing him slowly. And then I kind of kept driving and was looking in the rearview mirror and my mirrors. My girls were looking around kind of like, this dude's so sus, man. And so followed him as I slowly drove down the hill, kept following with my eyes, and he ended up jumping onto the fence. There's a fence, a barricade there on the overpass. And at the end of this overpass and down a hill, there's a stop sign. And so I stopped there and just waited. And I was like, we're already running late, what is going on here? And we saw him jump over the fence. So he was on the overpass side of the fence. Then suddenly he jumped over to the freeway facing side of the fence. So literally just, standing over the freeway. And so my girl screamed at that time, and I hurried and, zipped around right where I was, parked right behind his car. And again, this is a Saturday early afternoon. And so when I parked behind him, my kids are just like, it's probably seriously only 25 feet away. So it's right there. This is happening. And I told my oldest daughter, I said, hey, call the police, tell them what's going on. I tell my other two in the backseat, just stay here. Don't leave the car. I get out of the car and I close the door, and it's like, to my kids, they're probably like, oh, Dad's got this just like he's got everything else, we do in life. And man, I'll tell you guys, when I closed that door, I literally thought I was going to pass out from fear. I had, and it comes every time I tell the story, a little bit comes back each time. So I stood there and I thought I started shaking and I started sweating a lot. And I was like, dude, I can't do this. And then I remember seeing this kid again. He's only like 25 feet away, not far. And I said a little prayer. I said, just please help. Please, first of all, help me so I can physically do this, And second, please help this kid know that, I love him and that you love him. Right after that, I was pretty not confident, but I would say I had an extra measure of energy. And I was thinking to myself, it was so cliche, but I was thinking literally, what would, if I was Jesus and he is here in this situation, what would he do in this situation? Because we hear so many things, whether it's you go to church or whether you don't, you hear so many things about, I'll follow in Jesus's footsteps, or, WWJD, what would he do? And the only thing that came to my mind was just to show that this kid, that I loved him. And because, honestly, Polynese, when I approach anyone, I don't know about you guys, 6'3", 300 pounds, I generally intimidate most people that I approach, and I was thinking in my head also, I could be making the situation even worse than it already is. And I could walk to this poor guy and he could just feel totally intimidated, and he might just jump because of who I am, what I look like. And so I had a feeling, okay, just open your arms to him and tell him that you love him. And so I really had an overwhelming feeling of love instantly for this young guy. Excuse me. He's probably 22, smaller guy, maybe 5'6", 5'5", and he's a Micronesian dude. And I was thinking, this is kind of like this perfect moment where I could really do something awesome here. This really could be life-changing for me, obviously. So I started walking slowly towards him. I would say, how those in the movies, it's like everything, like you'll have like in the Matrix where everything slows down, then you have it suddenly just speed right back up. It felt like one of those surreal, I swear, just surreal moments where I'm holding my arms out to this kid, and all I could say in my own way, I'm not too comfortable saying, maybe a lot of men aren't, I'm not too comfortable saying I love you all the time without saying something after it. I think men generally, we like to say, I love you, dude, or whatever. In this case, the only thing that I could say to him was, I love you, bro. I had my hands held out towards him, and I walked to him slowly, and I probably had said it maybe like 5-6 times by the time I actually got close enough to him. And I held my arms out to him, and I just kept saying, I love you, bro. I love you. And I just held my arms out to him. So I'm looking at him. He's looking between me and the freeway, like me and jumping. And I could just see tears, huge tears coming from his face. And I'm very emotional too. I'm a real super emotional guy. So I started matching I could feel his, his sadness. So I started crying with this guy. And I don't know if it was, there's a moment where I felt like I need to just grab this guy. He started looking at me a little longer than he was looking at the freeway. And then he kept looking at me, and then it would stay looking at me. And then finally I was like, screw this. I jumped up on the fence, grabbed him by the hoodie and by the back of his pants, and just lifted him over this fence and held him. And then there's this like kind of angled concrete barrier that holds the fence. And we just slid down this barrier together. And I just held him in my arms like he was one of my kids, and just kept telling him the whole time, I love you, bro. And I think I probably said that maybe 4 or 5 times while he just cried. He just, he was obviously really upset. And there was this moment of peace, a total peace, for maybe, 2 minutes before these cops showed up, first responders, where it was just, there's no preaching to him, no quoting scripture or, you have so much to live for, none of that crap. It was all just showing this young man that I loved it. And I think I'm so grateful that that's all literally that I could say in that experience. So it was crazy, man. It was crazy in every sense of the word. Because like I was saying earlier, I had pneumonia. I have really super bad arthritis. I can't lift like I used to. I can't, I'm 43 years old. It's just not there. But there was a moment where I was like, screw this. I jumped up on this fence, lifted this kid out of there like it was just nothing. And after the event passed, and they took him in the ambulance, like earth just came rushing back. Reality came, and I could barely walk to my car. Luckily, my eldest daughter came and helped me to the car. But that was the experience. Very surreal, very powerful, horrible, but beautiful experience. So,
yeah, that's incredible. I love hearing your story. It's a story of compassion, of love, and just that vulnerability to the side that we men don't show. Could you tell us from the start since the incident happened up till now, how has it affected you mentally, physically? Because I know you've been on other platforms talking about this incident that sparked the I Love You project. Could you tell us more about it?
So this actually, I didn't even share with this experience with anyone for maybe like a week. It was so close to my heart and so like real and raw that I couldn't even share. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell my kids, and I kind of had to hold it together. It was so overwhelming for them. It was about a week, maybe like 5 or 6 days. But afterwards, it actually went on the news, and the news called me, KUTV2 called me, hey, we'd like to do this news story about it. And I said, listen, I'm not interested. I don't want any of that attention. It was a powerful experience, a very sacred experience to me. I don't think I'm interested in doing this. And the guy who was super cool, now I'm super good friends to him. His name's Jim over there at KUTV. He said, listen, Joe, I totally understand and respect, you not wanting to do this on the news, but I promise you this is going to really help save lives. And he convinced me to do this news story. So he does this news story. It goes viral. I didn't know, but about a week later from that, the state of Utah, so the Department of Health and Human Services for the state of Utah saw the story, and then eventually they were like, some of the verbiage in the story, Jim says, there's no playbook to follow for anyone, who's wanting to end their life, something like that. And the state of Utah saw that in the news story and was like, well, why not? Why can't we make some sort of training or playbook accessible for people, normal Joes like me? And so the state of Utah picks up the story. They invite me in to help with the creation of, it's called the Live on Utah Suicide Prevention Playbook. And it's so awesome. It's a 10 lesson course all on Instagram on training how to prevent suicide ultimately, but more a lot in depth, like conversations, how to start conversations, things to look for, where to turn, resources, things of that nature. Stuff I had no idea about. I'm just a guy who was in that situation, who just happened to jump out of the car and happened to have this amazing, surreal experience. And now I'm sitting in front of the, state of Utah about this. So we would love to pick your brain about how we can implement some of the things that you had and share with your story, and how we can educate Utahns and the world really with this new playbook. So I have these really awesome creative meetings with the state of Utah. The suicide prevention playbook was launched last month for Suicide Prevention Month. And from that, I had, of course, just mounds of other people interested in the story, and really, to kind of backtrack, sorry, to what your question was, how is it's changed me from that time the news story broke to the time that they called me for the state of Utah till now. It got to a point where I was like, okay, this was such a beautiful, sacred thing. And then it transitioned to, this is such a beautiful thing that I need to share, that needs to be shared to help people, to, wow, I really, really can save it's not just about saving this one life. It's about saving more than one life, other lives out there. And then now to my life now, this is what I do now. And this project, the I Love You Bro project, represents kind of a culmination of this year for me, because that happened in January. The suicide prevention crisis happened at the end of January. I'm here, and almost we're midway through October, and now I talk to the world, talk to different news, Fox News, MSNBC, sharing not only just suicide prevention and the story. The story is so beautiful, and I love that people are attracted to it. But really, it was the catalyst for me to be like, if I really cared, then I need to do something more than what I did. Because for most people, I had a 1 in 10 million experience. Hardly anyone's going to have that. And that could have went bad very easily. What we need is most lives are saved way before that. Why does it have to get to a bridge? Why can't it be stopped in the home or at school? Like easy stuff, signs that a lot of people don't look for. Now it's like with the I Love You Bro project, I had the idea, well, mental health in general needs to have a lot more light shared to it. It's such a huge issue we have, especially in Utah, that for me, all I know is about dads. It's what I do. I'm a dad. And I know that myself, that I've had my own mental health struggles, especially in the Polynesian. I mean, you have a Polynesian upbringing. Mental health, there's no such thing as a mental health checkups or anything like that, or growing up in a Polynesian household. It's just, you just shut your mouth and you take it. And now for me, the I Love You Bro project is now the way for me to help dads and men like myself, and like this young dad who was on the overpass, who just happened to have a really, really bad day. He didn't have like a culmination of, he has a history of mental health, mental illness. No, he doesn't. You don't need to have that. Anyone could succumb to fear and pain and sadness that they can have a decision and just break there. And so the I Love You Bro project it's fighting for men. It's fighting for dads who, like, for whatever reason, we just can't talk about it. We're programmed at an early age to just suck it up, carry the burden. You work, you shut your mouth, you take care of your family, you make the money, you go to church. Everything should just be fine and dandy. That's just not reality. So I'm here to represent all the dads and the.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe. So most of the crew, the guys here, we are dads. And we truly appreciate what you're doing, representing us who have no voices out there. I just want to let you know that we truly, from the bottom of our hearts, we truly appreciate the work that you are doing. Before we continue, I'm going to let in one of our guys, and I'll give this opportunity to Opetaia or T if they have any further questions for you. Go ahead and take it, guys.
With the project, I know it's fairly new. Do you have do you have envision like a specific goal in mind that you want to reach, whether it be just like a simple thing as getting a website done and like a phone number where they can reach you, or like a program that fathers around Utah and whatnot can reach out to so that they can get like that suicide prevention pamphlet and whatnot that you worked on and whatnot?
Yeah, that's a good question. We are very much in our childhood stage right now. We just, it's pretty awesome. We just hit our numbers for, it's expensive to start a nonprofit. And I have my normal job that I do, and plus being a dad, and plus, trying to get money and raise awareness for, again, I guess, crowdfunding really, for the I Love You Bro project. So we just reached the amount we have. I have a lawyer secured for us now that she's now can take our paperwork, get us filed, get us basically legit. Bless her heart. She at the very beginning, man, she was telling me how to, okay, it's pretty easy. You just do this. And I was like, okay, no, that's way beyond my mental capacity. And so it was an investment for the project to just have this lawyer set us up the right way. And so now we're it takes 3 to 4 weeks for that to be all completely set up. But really, so now it's a matter of just, okay, got to set up a website, got to set up this, that, and the other. For now, we have, ultimately, our goal is to have, what I want to do with it, is it's a twofold mission here for us. First is it's to get access to mental health care, necessary mental health care that dads need. And that could be from counseling to therapy to drug addiction to, suicide prevention, can mean a lot of things, marriage counseling, both individual and in a class setting. We want to have that side, the mental health side, accessible. And we want to help people get that funding, or I should say help dads. The other side of the I Love You Bro project, really the goal is to start changing the freaking toxic stigma that is, especially in Utah, guys, especially in Utah, and especially with the Polynesian community, is that we are not allowed to say anything. We can't talk about it. We can't express, or if we do express, man, I'm sad. You're like, oh, well, chin up. Oh, you have a lot to live for. Oh, you are so blessed. How could you feel this way? That bullshit reasoning just doesn't work anymore. That's not healthy. Excuse my language. I have a Chicago mouth. We need to change the stigma in this cultural idea that men are not allowed to talk about their mental health. And they aren't allowed to seek help. I don't know what is the big deal for me. I'm the first one crying. I'm the first dude up crying about my feelings, whether that be in a church setting or in a family setting or whatever. But if it takes me and my slobbering, tears and transparently sharing all of the bad things that go through my mind, then I will do that. And especially with veterans, you guys, I'm sure you guys have some, PTSD things of your own above and beyond what I have, and so that's the two goals. The two goals are, of course, we want to get access to mental health care that is needed. And then the second part is changing this culture and environment. And I'll tell you, the I Love You Bro project, just so you guys know this, we're already, I can't legally solicit money from sponsors. I can do like these small crowdfundings I did, I've been doing for my, to get the paperwork started, things of that nature. But you have to be set up before you can start talking to the big dogs. And I already have Larry H. Miller group. They're already ready, kind of waiting for us before I can go meet with them. I have a couple other, big time people. I'm going to be meeting with the Silicon Slopes, who run all of Silicon Slopes, the company, this Tuesday, but more or less talking about suicide, not necessarily meeting with them about some sponsorships. We have some exciting things happening right now. Yes, I do want to get a website up. We already have, shirts out. That was like the first thing. People were like, where can we order a shirt? So we made it part of the process of, raising funding was for, shirts and whatnot. But we have a lot of fun, exciting things to do, good problems we have right now. So to grow.
Not really a question, but really grateful for what you're doing, Joe. It's really finally great to see something being done, not just, hey, we should. Us as veterans, you had that thing not too long ago going around social media, the 22 push-ups, for 22 Veterans Day. And I mean, I thought the concept was nice, but at the same time, I'm like, it's kind of stupid, like everything's being more about, it's my turn to do push-ups. Oh, he got me. It's more about this social media thing than the actual tragedy of our brothers taking their lives, suffering. And we're over here just doing push-ups, but it's not doing anything to help prevent, the loss of life. It's not really, I guess in some ways it did check in. It may have helped on some levels, but as far as taking action, I didn't really think that did anything. That's why whenever I got called out on that, I was like, I'm not going to do that, because that's, I've known one too many brothers of mine have taken their own life, and just that challenge alone, it kind of annoyed me. And even recently, that's one thing I'm grateful for social media is, even though sometimes we can share too much, sharing the dirty laundry, sometimes sharing too much is good, because I have had brothers get on and, I don't know if I'm gonna make it through the night. I got my demons bothering me. If you don't hear from me, this and that, and just right away, got a message them, got to try to Facebook call them. And, you always wonder what you can do, because a lot of times you feel powerless in these situations. Like a lot of the times you see with the comedians, the celebrities, or even just people, personally, the most joyful people, just up in one day are gone. Nobody would have known, and nobody knows when to check. And, I think this is a great first step in the right direction as far as trying to do something about it, instead of just creating trends, to get views and stuff. And I'm not being so negative on those, but I don't think they're as helpful as actually, taking action as you have, and also plugging once again, Live on Utah on Instagram. The playbook, I just checked it out, man. It's pretty great to see. So thanks, Joe.
Yes, suicide is a very difficult topic, and I have shared on this podcast how I constantly suffer from depression, and how suicide is always on my mind. I would say about at least 5 times a year that the suicide thoughts are on my mind, and it just comes on without a warning. Sometimes it just comes tied to my depression. Sometimes an event would trigger it. We all know someone who's taken their lives, and it really affects us. It takes a toll on our minds when someone that we know who is close to us takes their lives. We start pointing fingers, or we start to feel guilty. Whose fault is it? Why this person has taken their lives? Why didn't they contact us? Why didn't they reach out? So this question, Joe, might be a little bit personal. I know you're an ambassador for suicide prevention, but do you have any experience yourself on the topic of depression or suicide?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. I think every person, you guys, first of all, I'm not a therapist. I don't proclaim to be, but I'll tell you what, I've raised 3 daughters and I know how to shut my mouth and I know how to listen. And I think the best therapy for normal guys like us who are just, we've had some powerful experiences that have created trauma in our life. The best is to have someone who we know who will just sit and listen to us and will love us regardless of whatever the content is. And I think for me, I don't have a lot of suicidal tendencies, but I have a lot of anxiety. And kind of taking you back to the story, I have passed out because of my anxiety. I have sat in a desk at school and lost consciousness because of how I was triggered from something my anxiety was. And I can't talk a lot about, how any suicidal feelings for myself, but I know that I need help. I know I need, whether that is someone to talk to or medicine, but it's a legit thing, a physical thing. And for someone who suffers from suicidal ideation, meaning that they're thinking about it, it's 5 times a year for you. It could be every day for somebody else. It could be once a year or during Christmas, or a birthday. Everybody, to some extent, like you were saying, can know someone who has died by suicide. And if they haven't themselves had suicide ideation, you bet your ass that their brother or their parent or their best friend does. And so for me, I'm divorced, but my kid's mom, she had a ton of suicide ideation, and she actually had a few attempts, and she survived suicide twice. And it was heartbreaking for me to, I had no control. I had no control. I think we men especially want to be in control, whether that be of our family or of our relationships, of our kids, but of ourselves especially. And if we don't have this set level of control over whatever, we start second guessing everything in our brain and in our life. And I started second guessing. If I can't handle my wife, who she wants to die by suicide, then that means I'm not a good person. She's unhappy with me. And that was absolutely not the case. She legitimately had some other tendencies, some schizophrenic tendencies, some other PTSD that we were able to identify through some mental health professionals, stuff that had nothing to do with me. But with people, my experience, and I'm not saying it's a lot, but my experience with suicide and suicide ideation is that they need, a person who has suicide ideation needs a lot more of what we all need on a regular basis. And that's just someone who can be there, who you can trust, who you can just talk to. I'll tell you, I went through therapy, guys, before my divorce. My ex and I are close friends. And that time to just sit and talk to someone who's listening to us objectively, who is not interrupting us when we're talking about these things, who's just sitting there and listening. There's so much intrinsic value of just having someone to sit and listen, and who's not judging us, who just sit and cries with us. Like I did, and I have that, there's a picture, I don't know if you saw it, but someone caught a picture of me reaching out to this young man on the overpass. He pulled up, I think a minute after I did, and he was on the phone also with the police and took a couple shots of this whole experience of me holding my arms out. And I got that picture printed, and I have it hanging up. And it was the reason why I like looking at it, is it reminds me of the love that I experienced with this kid and the love that I should have for myself, that I want to be, be reminded every day that this is the kind of love that I want in my life, that I should feel for others and for myself. And I did not know. I mean, I love my kids. I love my family, and I have some really good friends. But after that moment, it changed my outlook and my heart for others. So when you say you feel thoughts of suicide 5 times a year, bro, my heart breaks for you. And for all of us, guys, we're suffering alone. Normal guys, returned soldiers, like, just so many of us are struggling alone, and we have no way out. And we think, oh, praying about it or talking to my parents. My dad says, oh, I have a good life. Oh, my mom said, oh, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Well, I don't see that light right now. We all need someone who could just sit there and hug us and love us, regardless of our circumstances, and just listen. Man, listening is such a huge part of suicide prevention. Listening and looking for the signs, listening for the things people say, and knowing the resources that you can sit with this person and do. 988 is the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, and it's amazing. You can sit there with someone. You don't have to just say, hey, dial 988, see ya. You can actually sit there with them as a friend and a brother or a family member, or as me, like as a dad, and sit there and you can go through that process with them. They do not have to be alone. We do not have to be alone. This is not, that's my whole concept. Foundationally for the I Love You Bro project, we are not alone. We just think we are. And I'm going to fight for every last one of us, guys. Every last one.
Yeah, thank you, Joe, for your words of encouragement. And it just hits very dear to my heart. This week, an operator from, I think it was a Davis or Utah Health, one of those professionals, they called me for a survey, and I answered all these physical health questions. Then it got to the mental health questions, and it was specifically suicide. And she asked questions like, do you own a firearm, or how many times do you feel thoughts of suicide, or do you... Well, the question that got to me was, would you most likely, when you have thoughts of suicide, would you most likely reach out to a friend, to a family member? She went down the list, and to all of them, I said no. And that kind of, I had a moment of self-reflection, because the only person that I said yes to was my therapist. He's the only one that I would feel comfortable reaching out. But then I thought, man, I have some really close friends. If they knew about this, they would be really disappointed for me, because, you know, if I have thoughts of suicide, why didn't I pick up the phone and call them? So, yeah, it was a very touching experience for me this week. And it just falls along the lines of, you know, our session for tonight. And I just want to say, Joe, you know, your words, hearing you, it continues to encourage me. And this isn't just a simple interview that's like a one and done. This is like a core memory for me, the words that you spoke tonight. And I just want to say thank you.
Not really a question, like, you know, more like a comment, like saying, you know, I appreciate and thank, you know, the things that, you know, guys like him and, you know, the other companies and other programs that, you know, that help with suicide prevention, because everyone has their demons. Some just know how to control it better than most. But most have a hard time, and, you know, they need, you know, guys like Joe and, you know, the suicide prevention hotlines, you know, they need those programs and those numbers to talk to, because not everyone can talk about it. Some people are better at forgetting it, like me, like you know, since young, you know, it's easy for me to forget problems. Like if I can't, you know, change the situation myself, I don't think about it. Like that's just how I've always been. But you know, I support guys like Joe and programs like that, you know, that help people that need people to talk to, because, you know, not everyone is, you know, has my mindset. Some people, you know, actually need someone to sit down and talk to. My wife is one of those people. Like, she always wants to sit down and talk about problems. She's always telling me about, you know, stuff that depresses her. Yeah, but, you know, she always asks me, like, you know, do you have anything you want to talk about? And I always tell her no, because as soon as like something creeps up on me, like I find something else to just distract myself, and then I forget about it. Because to me, you know, growing up, it was a lot easier to forget about the problems. Because if I can't change it myself, then it's not really my problem. You know, it's a problem that's better left forgotten. But, you know, when Tan said that, you know, sent us the articles about, you know, what you're starting up and stuff, but the I Love You Bro project. Like, you know, I'm all for it, you know, because a lot of, especially a lot of Samoans back in Samoa, like, especially growing up, it's mostly the younger generation that feels the need to commit suicide because they don't know how to talk to somebody. Because us growing up, you know, we're just saying, where no one ever talked about anything. So that's why, like, you know, I support, you know, projects like yours 100%, because we need, like, people need somebody to talk to. I'm glad that, you know, you're out there pushing that, especially in the poly community out there in Utah. Like you said, you know, it's a big problem that, you know, us Polynesian men, you know, don't want to talk about it. But yeah, I don't really have anything to say about this, because I support you guys, but then, you know, I have my own thoughts about it. My wife thinks I'm an asshole about it, about, you know, people thinking about it. But, you know, I'm going to keep my comments to myself, because I support you guys, but then I have my own feelings about it, and that's why. So I'm going to just leave it at that.
So, Joe, what are some interesting facts that you've learned?
Yeah, I was actually going to talk about one, the big one, and that's men between 30 and 45. It's for every 100,000 people. So put it that way. Or I should say every 100,000 men, 6 of those, it's like something like 1,000 of those suffer from very strong mental health decline, meaning that they need help. And of those 1,000, it's staggering. It's something like of the 1,500 of those will attempt or will die by suicide. So they may survive, they may attempt and survive, or they may attempt, you know, and die by suicide. And it's staggering to the point where women, to kind of put it in perspective, it's something like 6 times more likely for men to die by suicide than it is for women. Women's suicides they come between the ages of 14 and like 21. Whereas the men, you're talking about not older, but, you know, our age, between that, you know, late 20s, 30 to 45. And so what I've learned is, I mean, you could pat off statistics all you want. I think statistics and numbers kind of just disappear into the void of, okay, I care about it for an hour and then I'm off to something else the next hour to care about. With suicide, it's a big, heavy thing for me. And it's a heavy thing for a lot of us. And it's sometimes so heavy that it's, you know, some people could choose like Fatu. He could choose to not talk about it, whatever. And I think there's a lot of people out there who do that, who choose that. The I Love You Bro project is one where we're not forcing people or ever want people to, to talk. Obviously, we would like to just inspire and encourage those to talk and even just a little bit about some of the things that are happening with them. There's a great quote that I love that says, it goes something like, if left to themselves, bad things will always get worse. And it's being left. This is just being left from everyone. Suicide, mental health for everyone is just being tossed. I don't want to say completely, because there are some great programs out there. But if we were losing people, we are just losing so many people. And here locally in Utah, I've had one guy reach out to me from my suicide prevention story, telling me how inspiring it was for him, this Balani guy. And about a month ago, he died by suicide. Same guy. And it just broke my heart. Like older guy, he was, I think, 60s, grandfather, appears to have the beautiful Facebook life, social media life. And the idea is that, of course, I'm going to regret, oh man, I should have reached out more. I don't carry that kind of weight with me. The weight that I carry is society in and of itself has failed a lot of us and a lot of people in general in a lot of different ways. But when it comes to suicide prevention, when it comes to just talking mental health, just talking about it is the first big step. We're not forcing people to talk about it. But if people aren't going to talk about it, then they damn well better listen, because it's a freaking, if we're talking about COVID being a pandemic, we're losing people, so many people every day from this thing, and we're just brushing it to the side. So this I Love You Bro project, guys, it's for me, this is my life now. This is what I do now. My girls are they're all in. This is what my full-time job will be, hopefully by the next year. We'll be to a point where this is just all I do, is try to get us a little closer, society, cultural wise, to kind of accepting that there is actual mental health and there's no mystery about it, to the point where we can actually give our fellow brothers in and just give them the help that they need, the ones who want it. So I really appreciate you guys listening. I apologize for I told the story 1,000 times, guys. I've told the story over 1,000 times to different news channels, different people, and every time it gets me a little differently, because I think it's meant to be that way. I think it was made for me, customized, unique for me, because if somebody has to do it, and I'm sick of, like my guy here was saying, people doing push-ups. Push-ups aren't doing shit for people. I'm sorry, they're not. Then I'll get out there. I'll be the guy holding the cardboard box or sign on the side of the road, give me money. I want to help people. And I think we just need to get a little bit more momentum on that side. Like this podcast, like just talking, shooting the breeze. This is where it all starts, guys. You guys are really going to be a big help towards it. So I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, and then we here at Behind the Love are happy to share your story, because it's an inspiration to those who need it. I understand that not everyone can relate to suicide, and not everyone can relate to it. But it's not, if you can't relate to it, it's not for you. It's for those who actually need it. And Joe, do you want to shout out your social media username or Venmo where the people can support you?
Sure. I'll send you my Venmo little square here, but obviously anyone who's listening or who would like to support the I Love You Bro project, right now we're still collecting money. This way is going to be great to support, just that organic growth that we can get just from good citizens and community people like us. I would love to have anyone who can wants to order a shirt, or I can send you all the link to that. If you want to just go to the I Love You Bro project on Instagram, we're there. That's ran by my good friend of mine whose dad died by suicide. She kind of fills that aspect to the daughter of coping with suicide. Find us there. And also my name, I'd love to have you follow me on Instagram, Joe Tuyahana. Once I love you, bro, gets rocking, I'll start I love you, sis. I'll start I love you, auntie. I'll start I love you, grandpa. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, guys. All up in a million of them. So, fuck I love them.
I'm a lot like Fatu, which if there's things out of my control, I let them bounce off pretty easy. And just for me, I feel like every day I'm having to atone for my mistakes, things I've done wrong towards others, my kids, my wife, my brothers, my parents, mistakes I feel like I got to make up for. And that's going to be every day because every day I mess up. With that being said, those of you who are listening who are very judgmental for those who happen to succumb to suicide, please find me, talk to me, give me your reasons why you're so judgmental. And then as much as I can build people up, I'll find your faults, cut you down. Nah, just kidding. I won't do that. But just know that everybody's going through something, man. It's the worst thing to wake up and read a social media post about, no matter how much you knew someone, that they succumb to their own demons. And this is something that won't ever go away. And I'm just glad to see action being taken. And I love it, man. And we support you 1000%. And if anybody just needs somebody to talk to, all of us were there. Fatu's one of the most delightful people I ever talked to, man. Like he's so great socially. Even me with my stone face, like if you need someone to talk to, I'm there. Even if we may not have a lot of things in common, I can sit and listen about physics, especially, it's one of the hardest things to hear about our brother Mike over here and some of the demons he's battled what seems like alone, but luckily he's had his wife there and other people there. But other than that, man, that's all I got.
No, man, before I stop talking with you guys, it's the catchphrase is always going to be, I love you, bro. So for you guys, I'll start an I love you Uso thing. I'm not a therapist, but man, I love you boys. You guys are doing good work. Whenever you question anything, you find me on social media, you hit me up, text me, call me. I'll always be there. This same kid, guys, just so you know, the same guy is living a wonderful life now. He's getting the help he needs. He's got a little son. He's a dad struggling like us. He's a husband. And there is life after suicide attempt. There's life after suicide ideation. There is beautiful life after it. And if it takes, it's going to take some broken hearts to get there along the way. But I'll help you guys however I can. Okay? I love you, bros.
Thank you very much, Joe, for joining us today. We truly appreciate you and also sharing your story. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in to our episode. We appreciate you taking the time to join us. Please share your experience with us or even suggest a topic you would like us to talk about. Tofaso ifua.